This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You're always scum. Rebel scum.
Boom! That was pretty good. That actually looked like we were jumping out of an explosion. Welcome to Rebel Scum Podcast. We are 2 days after the finale.
Boom!
The finale of Andor. Oh, where'd I go? We're just getting straight into spoilers. So if you haven't watched it,
Spoilers!
or just be ready for it to be spoiled. James, what is your initial thought after watching the last 3 episodes?
Like my honest thought, or like the one that you want to hear?
No,
my honest thought was
they're one and the same.
like my honest thought was they could have made 2 movies, and we could have had the Rogue One trilogy if you made the movies. But instead, it was a phenomenal show. I thought it was a phenomenal show. But it should have been a movie. And the last 3 episodes, I think I understood why they dropped all at once. Like it was one big long boom, boom. Like there was no stopping. It was kind of like, we're gonna get a different crew, I guess, to work on the next episode. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I actually I texted you. You were working. I knew you were working.
Yeah.
I knew you were, but I wasn't going to text you spoilers. But I think I said something like they nailed it already. And I was.
No. You said I love Andor. Go ahead.
And I was. This
That's
is
all you said.
This is where I was in the episode. So now that you know, It was Lonnie sitting on the bench with Luthen, saying they're building something, and I was like,
yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's already perfect. I was like, right at that moment, I'm like, I just kind of had this feeling like they're going to nail this. And like they have one thing going for them that Mandalorian doesn't have, that Ahsoka doesn't have, that Boba Fett, we know the conclusion, right? Like the prequels, we knew the conclusion. So how's that going forward, I suppose? But all in all, without talking about too much yet till we get there, I thought that they handled the ending perfectly. I thought everything that needed to be resolved was resolved. And that end shot of Andor walking ended everything else without saying anything, without doing anything. It was like this perfect button on it. And it was so satisfactory. Because like, if you think about it, what Wilmon and Val, who the hell? Well, why aren't they in Rogue One? It doesn't matter. That last shot kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And we'll get into more. But what were your initial thought? What was your initial thought about it?
Yeah, I was just like, this blows my mind. My answer to you when you're like, I love Andor, I was like, F you, I'm at work.
And I knew what I was doing.
I don't curse at my friends, but I just I was like, no.
I made sure not to say anything, but I wanted to send you that because of how early in the show it was.
Yeah.
Like it was like, anyway. So any other thoughts?
It was great. And it was a perfect ending without actually it ended, it wraps up all the storylines. But it's just like, it's such a cool way of just doing the story where it's just like, you get wrapped up in each storyline, right? And you're like, okay, the next week we're gonna find out what happens. It's like, no, you're not, because a year has passed, and you're like, all right, stuff changes in the year, so it's like the closure that you're waiting for is already happened off screen, and it's just like, and then like that's Star Wars to a T. It's just like you're just thrown into the like this is what's cool about it. It's just like you're thrown into it. I thought it was a great ending. It's just like for the first half of like all of it is about like who Luthen was and how him and Clea come together. Like it's just like you didn't even need to tell that story, but it's so compelling.
Yeah, I had watching it. I think that was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
which I said last week, but it was so good. And the thing is, like you said, you didn't need it, but you kind of did because of how important Luthen is to the story and the rebellion. Yeah. But also, like they should have like stop naming the shows after characters, right? But like. So I gotta say, so that one started, and I was like, this is a strange choice for the last couple episodes. Like, it was 3 episodes, but it was a one big finale. I'm like, this is a choice. And then they went to the flashback the first time, and I was like, ugh. That was my reaction. I already texted you that I loved it, and I thought it was perfect. And then that happened, and I was like, I might have to go back on my text. But then you see what they're doing, and like I think it was the second flashback. I was like, oh my god, she's gonna have to kill Luthen. Like I was like, oh, this is where we're going, because they had to show you. Because last week, remember, my problem with Bix was we didn't get enough Bix in that arc from when she left. I was like, but this one, it could have almost been the same, but they showed you that while it's happening and intercutting it with the events of her Mission Impossibling into that hospital. I was like, this could have been a whole series. I would watch this weekly of these two. And so I never went back on what I said about Andor, loving Andor or anything, because it paid off. And I thought, I don't know how you felt about it, but the flashbacks were used just enough. Like there was one flashback that I thought was going to overstay its welcome, and it stopped. And I was like, okay, good. Because it wasn't like, for me, Book of Boba Fett, I was good with those flashbacks because they were the story, I felt. Yeah. Whereas this one wasn't the story. So I was like, I don't want to be there too long. I want to see what's going on. And for me, I felt like they never stayed on too long. They just, here's the point, move on. Here's the point, move on.
Yeah, and like the amount of stories that have almost nothing to do with Andor in this season is like, it's crazy that it's just like, it makes sense and you're not missing him. But then he weaves himself in perfectly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I'm trying to think of other examples. Like this Luthen Clea storyline for the first episode and a half. He's he's not there. Like, you know where he is, but he's like, he's not there. It's just like, it's great. This is like, it is exceptionally good. Not just Star Wars, but just like storytelling. It's just so, it's recognizable but unique all at the same time. Like what a flex that, like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because we mentioned that every episode begins, or at least the first episode in the group of 3 always begins with like number BBY, before the Battle of Yavin, which like for us, we're like, yep, I get it. Yep. It's just like they're going to tell you a time, and we knew it from the get-go. But they never explain it, right? Like they never like go before the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, I had a friend ask me what that meant. And I was like, yeah, it was a bold move. I don't think it ruins it if you don't know what it is. You're just kind of like, okay, well, that's, it's something. And I think if you see it enough, you just kind of start to understand it. I think is what it is.
It's just like that thing Star Wars does where you're like, you're either going to get it or you're not. And you might start to love Star Wars more if you research, like, what does this mean? Because I'm sure I never thought to Google it. I'm like, I wonder if like people are like, what does BBY mean? Like,
I'm sure they are, because it's really, that's a book thing, right? Like that's like a like that's not
never,
like,
I don't think they ever say it.
I actually think I feel like I hate the expression. I think like when Disney took over, didn't they have like they did like their timeline differently where they kind of removed BBY for a minute and a half, and I guess they're like, you can't as hard as you try, you can't lose it.
Yeah, it's the focal point. Like it's it's just great. Like it's so, you know what, when you were saying earlier that it's like they could have just made 2 movies. That's what. Know what they actually accomplished? They made a better movie about rebellion in the galaxy than Zack Snyder did. This is like literally a better version of Rebel Moon. Like literally, maybe not as much action,
Arguably not as long.
not as long, but it might be close. But like, it's just like just this season. It's just like. It's like, oh, this is exactly what he wanted it to be, in a sense. Like, this is, I guess you could say, more artsy, but like I was just like, this is a much better. There's even a droid that just like is quirky or whatever. Like, I was just like, this is a much better. So it's just like, just make that. So, it's great. Is
I
freaking fantastic.
Yeah, I just thought like the way everything was resolved, and they did an entire episode of just Clea and Luthen. Like there was no one else. But okay, let's shift gears a little bit now. Let's go on to Deidre. Good old Deidre. Didn't know how they were going to end her at all. But I will say this. So I don't watch the recaps on these shows because first of all, I watch it, and I don't watch them, but I was doing dishes or something when this one started, so the recap was on and I couldn't skip it, and I didn't really want to because I didn't want to miss the beginning. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere else. I was in the vicinity. I could see the TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're bringing back the relic from the first season in the recap for the first episode, and the fact that Deidre they were able to bring everything all together from season 1 on, and you're like, oh my god, that I completely forgot about that thing. And they brought it back. I was like, interesting. And I love that they're like, they're on to you, Luthen. They're going to get you like just right out the gate, because everyone wants to know, like, why make us wait? We want to know what's going to happen with Luthen because there's something up there. But Deidre coming in like that, and then being the scapegoat for the Empire, and her being arrested by them. What did you make of all that?
It's just like, oh wow, it's like nobody expected that, right? Like obviously she's slowly becoming unhinged, but it's just like, it's great. It's just like it all just starts collapsing. Like, and I like it's like, Luthen takes out Lonnie, and then it's just like, oh, he's gone. It's like, which has like nothing to do with it, but because he does it, like the one character's kind of distracted or whatever. I don't know. It's just like, but like, yeah, you're like, oh wow, and it's like that's the first like 20 minutes of the first episode. So it's just like, it's kind of, I did skip a lot of the wrap-ups previously on, but I watched the first little bit for that episode, and it just points out like Luthen keeps saying, it's like, we're gonna die one day. Like, it's just like he's already aware. It's like one day we're gonna die. But I think that's like his character is like, I'm in control of the scenario. I'm already knowing that my life is forfeit. He's like, I am a ghost. I don't exist. People don't know who I actually am. Like, we don't even really, I don't think we ever get his real name, right? Like,
no.
Sergeant, I feel like he gets called something in military.
Yeah, you might be right.
But it's like, we never really know what his actual name is. So it's like, he is literally a ghost. It's like, and like, the fact that he takes his own life is like, he's like, that's all figured out. Like he, you know, it's just sort of like, I think they tried to trick you, and was like, he's like, you get out of here, I'll start the burn, which means he's just gonna melt their communication thing. But it's like, I remember watching that and be like, oh, they've already practiced this. They know what they're gonna do if like their hideout gets found out. It's like, oh no, it's like, but no, like this is all part of, like, he's in control of the whole thing, and like outside of like, oh, we gotta keep him alive. But it's just like, it's such a great idea, because I'm like, the character is like, even though he is doing things that need to be done for the rebellion to get them where they're at, right? He's still hated by other people, because it's just like, he doesn't want to listen to anybody. He's like, this needs to happen. Like, it's like, like he's putting people in place. I can't wait to rewatch this show and be like, oh yeah, cool. I don't think it's gonna be like that deep, but it's just like it's something that like your your thoughts on the show are totally relevant because it leaves a lot to be like what's the word, interpreted, right?
His name was Lear, which Heidi brings
Right.
up was Rail backwards. He's Lutheran Rail.
Yeah.
Lear. Clever. I gotta be honest with you. The first episode comes and no K2SO. I was like, this is a bold choice. But I will say, in my opinion, that K2SO was used a perfect amount, kind of like the flashbacks, because he came in like Miley Cyrus, but every scene he was in was amazing. But also, I think you can get tired of K2SO if he was in it too much. And and as you see with his Vader-esque hallway scene, he's indestructible, but also because he's in Rogue One, he's also indestructible for that reason. So it was almost like the more he would have been in it, the less interesting this scene. Like if he was a good guy on Gorman, people like it's not a big deal. Like you're not afraid. So I thought he was used perfectly. I really enjoyed the usage of him. And what'd you think of K2SO making his small screen debut?
Loved it. I was just like, I wish we could live more, with him. But you realize it's like this show is not about like we're buddy cops. Like it's like it's not a fish out of water. It's like that's Rogue One. Or what you want from this show is you're gonna see that more in Rogue One because that's where those characters live. This is just sort of like this is more about like the birth of the rebellion, even though it's about this is really like how the rebellion it's perfect Star Wars because it makes you want more. You're like, oh, I would love to see more of how they set up Yavin, but like that's boring. It's like, yeah, you would love to know, but I don't know how it's like, what did Obi-Wan do in between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope? It's like we got that.
That was something that I think I said on their show before the series even came out. Like I never really crossed my mind. I will say this: the Yavin thing. I agree with you about Yavin. Like I don't really care about how they got. But why show it in the first arc? Like why have Andor on the first arc? Was like without really explaining it. Like why was that the plan he chose to go to? Was that something that they've been talking about for a while? For the rebellion, like something going on there. Like it just seems kind of random that they decided to throw that into that first arc.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just sort of like they can, so let's do it. Like it's sort of like perhaps the group that we leave there does help along the way to getting to the big group getting there. I don't know.
But it's not shown. Like that's what like it almost seems like what was the point of making that planet Yavin in the first arc?
I don't know. Just for that, you'll be like, oh, get ready.
This show sucked.
it's
all
like
fan service.
It's so that they could be like, here we are in Yavin, and you're like, you don't need an explanation. It's like, oh yeah, they were there in the first, like, that's it.
And Cassian said we should go there. There's a bunch of crazy Lord of the Rings guys there, Lord of the Flies guys there.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, the Flies. But the Lord of the Flies have grown up, and they're not so cute. Oh, if only one of them had the conch.
Yeah, it's great.
Heidi's saying to show how far they go. Yeah, I get it, but like, why did they choose Yavin? I still don't.
Yeah,
I think that is probably the one loose end that I would like to just understand why they did that in that first arc.
Loose end. I don't know. But it's just like I think you said it already. It's like who cares? It's like it just gets you there, and then you're good because it's like. This show is fully aware of like we don't need to. I feel like you could argue there was a really good twist at points. I don't know if there's no Luke, I am your father. There's moments where you're like, oh, that was crazy, but like it wasn't giving into the fans and being like, oh, here's the craziness, like here's that crazy, like, oh, I can't believe it, like even I don't know if I like it or not, but it ends with Bix walking. I mean, we get to see that B2 Emo is not alone anymore and has a droid friend and is with Bix, but then Bix walking through the wheat field with a baby, and it's just sort of like, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's just sort of like
Heidi had that as one of her odds last week.
Yeah. So it's just
I'll
like
say, when Heidi brought it up, I never even gave it thought. I was like, before she brought it up, I'm like, it never crossed my mind that would be a thing.
Yeah.
But then when it happened, I was like, you can look at it two ways. The corny way, like, oh, great. But the other way for me is just looking like we know where Cassian's story is going to end.
Yeah.
And he dies for, the rebellion. And so I think it was this way of, because look, in Rogue One, when they die, it's like, fine. Yeah. But now we've gone on a journey with Andor. We've seen what he's gone through.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a way of showing, like, he didn't die for nothing. He grew up, with this empire, fighting the empire, all that stuff. And now he's got this child out there who was born out of that rebellion in safety and is going to grow up without the empire because of what Cassian did. Yeah, just kind of like show, like, there's hope for the new generation out there, and it's because of the sacrifices that people like Luthen and Andor made. So that's kind of like where I took it. Because, I think if I didn't think about it, I probably would have been like, do I need that? Do I need that? And Heidi knew it.
I would argue it's still vague. If like, you know what? I don't want it because it's like, why does everything have to be like, and then there was a baby? Like, it's just sort of like, I don't know. I would argue it's still pretty vague whose child that is.
Well, I think it's it. I think it's.
I mean, that's like, you could say that's obvious, but then I don't feel like this show is obvious. Like, it's just sort of like, and this too, it's just like, but why? Like, him basically walking through is like, here we go. We are going to Rogue One. Come along with me. And then it's that. I'm like, if anything, it was like, oh, good. Somebody's with B2 Emo still. Hooray. Like, that's more important to me than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's Cassian's, no question. Because otherwise, showing Bix with somebody else's kid is just weird. But also, so they asked Gilroy and Bix in an interview who the kid's name. And she said, I have my own theory on that and wouldn't respond. And Gilroy said, never gave it a thought.
Yeah.
So I think they confirmed, like, I'm pretty sure they confirmed it's Cassian's kid in that, but they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, this kid isn't going to grow up to be Luke. The kid's not going to grow up to be Han. Yeah. The kid is just this kid to represent, to show that life goes on in the galaxy, blah, 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 blah. So I think, but anyway, it's Poe Dameron.
How?
How? Okay.
How?
So, she changes her name to Bix Dameron. Are you following me? She's Bix Dameron.
Yeah.
And he is and Cassian was a pilot. And Poe Dameron is one hell of a pilot.
See, like, they're like, he's a pilot. It's like, they're all technically pilots. They all fly flying things.
Everyone in Star Wars is a pilot. No, I don't actually think it's Poe. I'm just joking around. But the people are saying, it's Poe Dameron. Yeah, if they retcon those comics, I don't think many people would care. But also, it's definitely not Poe Dameron, because that would mean Poe would have been 19 years old when the sequel trilogy comes out. 20 years old when the sequels come out. He'd be too young. Oh, does he wants to educate you? Storks. What would be a stork in Star Wars?
I am not a father. So I can't be an expert on that. Baby looks pretty fresh. and we're led to believe that
I don't think the
there's a year exactly.
But it's not a year. That's the thing. So
okay.
Because it's not a year, and this arc kind of really showed that, because this arc is one BBY, but it leads up to like a month before BBY. So this is like the New Year's Eve of one BBY.
Okay, fair.
So you don't know. So you don't know when.
Oh my God! One BBY, one baby. Because honestly, that's how I read it every time. Even though I know what it means, I'm just like 5 baby, 4
Next
baby.
kid is Ryan Gosling. Confirmed.
I'll revolt if that gets turned into anything. Like honestly, like come on, just
okay, so I don't think it would, but I don't think we'll see that kid grow up like Jason Sindula in a way, like Wolf Spirit. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if some fresh-faced author shows up and like, let me tell you the adventures of Cassian's son, Billio Andor. And like we got a bunch of books about Billio hanging around in like Yeastown or whatever, and then he becomes a pilot and is probably force sensitive. Let's be real, he's a Jedi. He constructs a lightsaber and he takes on Palpatine in another dimension. You know what's gonna happen?
And he has a thing for bad boys.
And the worst part is, it's the best trilogy of books we've ever read. Like, not just Star Wars, all the books ever. We're like, oh my God, this was so good. And you're like, yeah, because he likes all the bad boys.
And the child has a plucky alien / robot / gremlin friend. Like, oh.
That alien that Clea was running around the hospital with.
Oh, yo, that was so funny. Like the whole 3 episodes is like, it's bleak because it's like this story gets wrapped up, you die. Things are not looking great. Like that's the best part about Andor. It's like they just find out about the Death Star. It's not like we kind of had it was like we just found out, and then like, well, I mean,
by chance,
Rogue One, by chance, like. It's crazy, and it's like the turn on Dedra for these 3 episodes. It's great. It's just like, yeah, she doesn't. It's just sort of like nobody matters in this rebellion because there's a super weapon that will just destroy a planet, and then also we have the original trilogy that's going to come along, and it's not going to matter because regardless of how hard they fight, they will always suffer and lose and not have a happy ending because they are not Luke and Leia and Han. So it's like it's just like it is the beauty. Like Rogue One, you get that where you're like, oh, these people, like, they are doomed. They're doomed because they aren't the main characters of the original trilogy. And it's like the rebellion stopping the Empire is all based on some guy that knows how to move stuff with his mind. Like, it's just like, it's like, if he's not there, the thing just continues, right? Like, and it's like, it gives it such gravitas of like, oh, this is just like, we're just like, I can't live in this galaxy where like, we're just being subjugated. So it's like, we'll do whatever it takes. And this series just makes it so much better. Like, I honestly just want to rewatch season 1 and 2 and then watch the movie.
It's funny because like when the prequels come out, you watch them, and whatever you think of the prequels or thought of them at the time, it doesn't matter because you're like only 19 years. Like who like how are people forgetting about the Jedi, this and that? And then this show comes along and there's no talk of Jedi. Yeah. But this season comes along and you got Bail saying, "May the Force be with you," like, and then you have like the healer and stuff. So it's subtly there. Yeah. But you're like, oh yeah, because the Empire wants no one, or the Emperor wants no one to speak or remember the Jedi. Mm-hmm. They've been wiped out. Like Bail knows all about the Jedi. Mon Mothma knows all about the Jedi, but they're so wiped out that it's not even referenced until the very end. Speaking of Bail Organa, the recast still does that. Are you still mad about that? Did you punch a hole through your TV because of the recast?
No. There was a point where I'm like, oh, right, this is not Jimmy Smith. Like, I know I keep saying I could constantly confuse the two, but I was just like, it wasn't is it Jimmy Smits or Benjamin Bratt? It's just Bail Organa. Like that's who I see. Like that's the character, and you're like, this story fits with everything else we've seen with Bail, and you're like, oh wow, and it's just like, it's like you are like in his character. You're like, oh man, like you're a worthwhile character, and you are going to be blown up in like a very short time. You're like, whoosh, like it's just crazy because it's like, yeah, like these people are just going to their deaths because they believe in something. It's like, yikes, that's wild.
Yeah, I think this show is just perfectly shows so much about. I think like Rebels was showing a lot of the stuff, but like in a children's show. So you saw it, from that perspective. And this one really made you go like, oh yeah, so the Empire was really evil, but not evil in the original trilogy, where it's like this mythical, Palpatine thing, like a Sith Lord. But like evil in that, oh, this is what they're doing to people, which there's some books that I've read where they've done that very well. But books, like we said, books are great, but books are books. And to see it like in live action more than anything and fleshed out the way it was, and you got to spend time with Imperials. Yeah. And like Cyril, for instance, like, okay, he's evil, but he's not evil. He thinks he's doing the good. He thinks he's working for the right, and the rebellion is, but then you also see the rebellion with Luthen and Saw Gerrera, where like they're doing good, but are they like they're both kind of crazy people. Yeah. Saw Gerrera's cameo, fantastic. We know you're on Jedha. No, I'm not. What do you mean?
No, I'm not.
We can see it behind you. Nope, nothing to see here.
Nothing to see. Yeah, it was so good. It's just like, it's just perfect. And it's just like, you make him look a little bit crazier than you did the last couple episodes. And it's just like, it's perfect. It's wild because it's like you have Cyril, who's kind of like really obsessed with proving he didn't fail, and Dedra like, I know there is a person that's causing this, and we take that person out, we end the rebellion. It's like they have this like cause of like they have to do something, and like one gets wiped out kind of by the other, and then Dedra is like wiped out by Krennic, who, when you think about it, is just as crazy. He's so obsessed with like being the guy, right? He's being used basically by the Emperor and Tarkin in a sense. It's like the Empire is just mindless soldiers and people that are just obsessed with being successful, I guess. Like, I mean, you probably quantify it something else, but it's just like what Krennic is just like. The Krennic's not like out for vengeance. He's not building the Death Star out for vengeance. He's like, I believe in this, and this will get me up the ladder. But then it's just like he's knocked out as easily. It's just like, if anything, it's like this is the Emperor doing his thing where he's like, I'm putting the pawns in places, and like you'll never figure it out. It's me, but we all know it's him. We all know. I know it's you.
Let's go into Krennic for a little bit. He was in this season, but not very much, sprinkled in here and there. I think he not in the third arc? I think the last arc or the second arc?
I think I can't remember. We talked about this last week.
I wasn't sure how much he would be in it. Again, he's a character who is in it just enough. His presence is felt when he shows up. And I thought in this arc, whatever episode or episodes he was in, I can't remember. What he did, I thought was great. I thought, what's his name? Ben Mendelsohn really was really chewing up the scenery with him. I thought he was having a lot of fun with it. And I thought he was a true villain now. Like he was like you said, like he's a villain, not a villain, but he's a villain. Like he knows what he's doing. He wants to work his way up and he knows how to get there. And he'll use whoever he has to do it. And I thought he was spectacular. Like when he grabbed Deidre's head, it was just like, we'll do it without you. I was like, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. I hope you die, Krennic. He's only got a few months left.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. It was like choke. Well, yeah, I thought Krennic was fantastic.
Yeah, it's just it's staggering, like what they've created here, and it's so unique. Like it doesn't really fall in the trope of any of the other Star Wars. Like it exists in Star Wars, but it doesn't do that thing that it doesn't try. I think we already said it a bunch of times. It's like there's no amazing reveal that's just like shocking. It's like if anything, it's just like the brutality is more shocking than the like. And I don't know what was like a cool reveal in this. It's like not much. I mean, I feel like Cyril being shot in the head, and you're like, oh man, or like a lot of the fight scenes, you're like, oh god, like it's shocking more than aha, like.
And it felt like it wasn't trying to withhold information from us either.
No.
Which was something I know no one was here, but like Star Wars, I'll just say Star Wars as a whole kind of fell into that trap for a while, where it's like, we're not going to tell you everything, surprises. Like I don't care about your surprises. I care about the story, and the surprises should be part of the storytelling. It shouldn't be. I don't watch Star Wars for the twist. I watch it for what's going on. The twist is just a bonus. The twist helps.
It proves that like interesting characters will win you a good movie. Like the characters, like the villains and the heroes are just as interesting. They're equally interesting, right? Like Disney just said, poor Cyril deserved better. I'm like, yeah, he's a great character. He had a weird view of the galaxy, but like he was interesting. We could have watched him throughout all 12 episodes, but like I think he got the right amount of story time, and it's just like Luthen is very, very cool, and it's like, or just everything that Andor does, you're like, oh, let's go on fun adventures. Oh, let's go on a cool mission with K2SO. But like, I don't think it ever really is like that. It's just like they are just doing whatever it takes to survive. So I don't know.
Automated Joy brings up this point. We basically got all the answers except what happened to Cassian's sister. That's true. I gave this a lot of thought, and I think I know the answer. Anyway, if it's not the real answer, it's what I'm going with, because I thought of it too. Because I was like, oh, we're not going to get his sister. But then at the very end, before the big moment, he dreams about her.
Yeah.
She goes, Casa, right? And you're like, oh, okay. And my thought was, we're not going to get that. It's not necessary to anything that's going on. I mean, he needs to find his sister, but we don't know what happened. She might not even be alive.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought they did wrap that up in a way that the memory of her will always be with him. Like it's something that he's going to carry with him forever. And that was the beginning of that end moment that I was just like, everything just felt perfect in that moment. Like they just and the music, it was like, I don't know who did the music, but whoever did the music was like, this is perfect. Like the music like acknowledged how perfect it was. And that was probably a 3-second walk that got slowed down into 4 hours. But it was like, but that was the beginning of it where I said, okay, we're not going to get an answer for his sister because we don't need one. There is no answer to his sister. He'll never get the answer to his sister. And that's just part of life too, is you don't always know. But he hasn't forgotten about her. She'll always be in his mind. And then that amazing moment happened at the end.
Yeah. No, it's never thought about that once on me, Joy. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, if anything, Clea looks like Leia. Like, let's be real. I don't know. It was great. I think like this, our Star Wars fan obsession with the who's related to who. I think this show does that as well. Where like they're like, we don't worry about it. We're not going to do that. It's like, yes, it's fun when everything connects, but like these are just people trying to survive. Like it's.
I still think it's Bix.
Right. Make it weird.
That's Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
So it might be B2 emo. We don't know.
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know what you do to outdo this. I don't think you do, and I don't think that's the point. I think it's just like, it proves that like you can trust Star Wars to different people and different writers, because yes, the Gilroys are like the main force behind this, but like each episode has a different writer, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it's a different name. So it's like people are capable of writing something that's worthwhile, and also you can trust your actors to be like, here's the story, and they'll deliver, right? Because like words on a page are one thing, you need that delivery. It's like it doesn't need to be Mark Hamill every time. Am I happy every time Mark Hamill shows up on screen? Absolutely. But the next movie doesn't have to have Rey. It doesn't have to have Yoda. It doesn't have to have R2. Though I wish R2 was in every single one. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need those things. It's proving it. So it's like, it doesn't need to have a connection. It could just exist. So, but then also we get the Acolyte, where it's like kind of has zero connection outside of that, and maybe I don't know. I think story is important, so it's like I think you've said this a million times, James. Like if you don't have a story, just don't do anything. Like don't bother.
Yeah, I think this was a great story. Like this was like that's what this was. It didn't, and it used Cassian Andor as the catalyst. No pun intended, book lovers, for this story. Like it was just like, yeah, it was so good, and I think it was something that I don't think any of us realized needed to be done. Like I don't think we've ever talked about. Maybe we've seen something similar, but we've never like we need to see this part because we still like. I don't know. They did such a good job of showing the rebellion being formed without showing the rebellion being formed. But you get the other side of that with Rebels again, like a cartoon show for kids. Like it worked out so well. I love how Mon Mothma, like, you're like, oh, that's why we spent 3 days at a wedding with her, so we could see how extravagant her life was. And now her hair is like flat. She's wearing the same clothes she wears in Return of the Jedi. You know, her husband now has a mistress, and like,
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, I guess you wrapped that up. I was like, you didn't have to do any of that, but okay.
No, but like, you know what happened there. So you see, like, she left everything she had behind to do what she thought was right, and it was just well done. I love that it felt like Rogue One. Like, there's a part with what's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name now. Genev, Dadev, Tedev, Tarek, Merrick, what's his name? The guy on Andor, the guy on Yavin who's like the boss.
Yeah.
The hell's his name?
Oh, Drevin.
I knew it was Tevin. Yeah,
Draven.
I knew his name. Whatever, Tevin. So he Draven. There we go. God, I knew that before we recorded. But there's a shot of him, and you see like the screen, and it has like the green on the screen, and I was like, oh yeah, we're in Rogue One territory now. That's where we're at. Because last arc they were on Yavin, but it was Battlefront. It wasn't quite Rogue One yet, and now it was like Rogue One. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And it just like they did say also, they're like, this is going to bleed into Rogue One 5 minutes before Rogue One. And I think I said last week, I'm like, how are they going to do that? And it just felt, it was like, oh, well, that's how they're going to do it.
I love how they're like, Andor, you stop taking a ship. You stop it. And he's just like, get my ship. I'm getting my ship. Like, it's like, droid, you go over there and turn off. It's like, I'm not going to turn off.
I like, what was the thing where he goes, you know how many violations we've broken? No, 18.
No, it was like 17. And then he turns off the radio, 18.
It was so, I love K2S. So I think I forgot how much I really like K2S. So, but I don't want to see him again. I mean, I do, but he's dead. Like, he dies in Rogue One, and that sucks. But I mean, if you reprogram any of those KX droids, do they all sound like Alan Tudyk? Do they all have that kind of snarky attitude?
Yeah, like, that's the magic of Star Wars. You're like, how exactly did they do that? And what does that, like, why does he become that kind of character, like, when they reprogram him? Like you're
like right away is like, I wouldn't mind if you don't point that at me. Ooh, K2. And then they don't show you he's not in the next episode. They're literally like the next episode is like, this is Luthen's show now, Luthen and Clea's show, and you don't. And I don't know if it's just me, but I didn't miss K2SO or anything because that episode to me was so captive. Like I was so in on that episode that I wasn't like. I at one point I was like, oh, people are gonna hate that Andor is not in this episode. I don't. I mean, I also didn't care about the Book of Boba Fett episode when Mando showed up. This makes more sense than that, but
at some point you're like, oh, I want to see Mon joining the rebellion and being the leader. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you don't need to know that. You just need to know that she's at Yavin on Yavin at this point. Yeah. That's all you need to know. That's it. Like, you know what happens next. Like,
did she? She didn't show up until the third episode, I think, right? Like she wasn't like it was at the bitter end, I think, when we got her, if I'm not mistaken.
Because they have to get Clea back to Yavin, and I feel like that's the very, very end of the second episode.
I agree with Automated Joy.
Yeah, like we could have seen at least 5 or 6 more episodes, if not a full season. But it's sort of like do you beat a dead horse, for lack of a better term? Like it's just like you keep making it just because you can. Like maybe it's better if it's one full narrative and you're good.
I've said this. We started the show this way, but if they could have just made a couple movies, then I would have been as thrilled about it. I will say though, I don't own any of the Disney Plus shows on Blu-ray. But this season is one that if it was like not $90, I would consider, because I could see myself potentially like Mandalorian season 1, and I think Book of Boba Fett, for all you Boba Fett lovers, are the only 2 shows I've really rewatched. I feel like this one is one that I'd be like, I really want to watch Star Wars. This is something that I would go to. Now, this final, like season 1 I love, but season 2 was like, it was better than season 1. I don't even think it's a question at this point. I think last week cemented that. Like last week, so the first 3 episodes, I was like, it's good, and then it got better, and then 7, 8, and 9 was just like so good. You're like, I can't believe they did that. And I don't mean like what they did was so spectacular. It was just well made. Like you said, like there were no bells and whistles. It was just, here's the story, it's good, and we're going to do it in a way that is quality. And they did, and it paid off, and it worked.
Yeah. I know I'm going to rewatch this again and like love it. Like, but it's just like, it is strange because it's like, if you don't like this, if you don't like the first season, then you're not gonna like the second season. Like I don't know, like because like Rihanna hasn't watched it yet, but she's like, is it depressing like the first season? I'm like, yeah, I guess it does. Like it's just like, yeah.
But I think there's more going on because it has a clear path of where it's going. I think you can get away with not watching the first arc or the second, but the last 2, which are dark and depressing, but they're necessary for like, if you were to be like, let's watch Star Wars, you watch 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Rogue One, and then A New Hope. That would not in the same day. I'm saying like
in that order.
It would be like probably the best 4-pack of entertainment. They're not movies, but 4-pack of entertainment you can get. Because I think the first 2 arcs are more similar to the first season, but Erin hasn't watched it yet either. She wasn't into the first season at all. And the first season was good, but I think this one, because it's like the first season's good, but you don't know where it's going. You know where it's going, but you don't really know where it's going. Whereas this one, like, definitively, you know where it's going. So it might be different if you know like the last two arcs, I think. And I think if you took Krennic from the first arc talking about why they want Gorman so bad and put that in the second last arc, just those scenes, those moments, like that's your storyline there, really.
Yeah.
Like more than like the Mothma stuff is to show whatever, but you don't need that necessarily. So I don't know. But yeah, I do. I think the season's better though, so I'm really curious people who didn't like the first season what they would think of this.
Yeah.
Now there are people who are stubborn that won't like it no matter what, but I wonder. And again, I think the first two arcs maybe their minds don't change, and maybe they're too far. They're like, I don't want to watch the rest, but I would like to see like what Rehan thinks, and maybe I'll get Aaron to like the last two arcs were just so well done. But they're not Mandalorian. And if that's what you love about Star Wars, then it's not for you.
Yeah, it's hard to really describe it. Like, when does the first season come out? Obviously after Mandalorian, but was Book of Boba Fett out?
Yeah, I think yes, it was 2022. I think Book of Boba Fett was that.
Or maybe season 2 of Mandalorian was probably out too. I can't remember.
Hold on, I'm gonna let you know. So Book of Boba Fett came out in December 29, 2021. So Andor was right after. Obi-Wan was in between it as well.
Yeah.
Kenobi came out that May, and then Andor was that September. And yeah, there would have been 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
It's like it's a real like. Oh, I was gonna say it's a real. You're taking a real swing at whether the Andor show would work. But I guess like if the guy that made Rogue One is like, I got an idea, or was part of Rogue One, it's like, I got an idea for a show. I think it could work. I don't see you not saying yes to it. Because I remember when like Andor got announced, I was just like, okay. Oh, you have that overwhelming feel. It's like, but we know what happens to this character. Mm-hmm. When you watch Rogue One, you're not just cheering for Andor. You're like the group, or I guess Jin, because
Jin is the
she's the main character, and Andor is just like the guy. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think it was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's see. So it's just like, I feel like the first season is like, first of all, like, what if we just shoot it in real places? Maybe that'll look different, and people will like it. I can't. It is. Could you imagine like the week after, what do you call it? Force Awakens comes out. Someone comes up to you and is like, there's going to be a show about a movie that's about to come out in 4 or 5 years ago. It's going to blow your mind. It's like, no way. No. It's just going to be about the Skywalkers forever.
There's a show that's going to come out that's a prequel to a movie that's based on a line from the opening crawl of A New Hope. Yeah, but the Skywalker thing is a funny debate. We could talk about this another time when we have nothing to talk about. But like, they're still the center of the Star Wars universe, and I think that's what this show does well. Is you don't need them, but it still leads to them. Yeah, and I think that is like when you lose sight of that. I mean, even Acolyte led to them. Like they all lead to them or come out of like one or the other, right? It's all spun from there, and you can't argue that they're the center of the Star Wars universe because that's the way Star Wars started from. Eventually, you'll tell enough stories that you will distance yourself and whatever. Yeah. But I think just going ahead and being like, nope, Skywalkers don't exist is a mistake right off the hop. Like you've got to like, and I think Rogue One being, the first spin-off of only 2 was such a genius move to do. Cause it's like, here's a story that again has no, like, I mean, Vader shows up, but that was an afterthought, but like, here's a story that's deep within the Star Wars world that you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've asked this. We'll talk about this another time. But like the question, of course, is what is Star Wars, and when does it stop being Star Wars? It starts to be Valerian.
Valerian.
I still haven't seen Valerian.
I know.
I know you love it though. I know you love your Valerian. What else happened in this episode? I thought these episodes were like, again, I thought they were great. I'm gonna force Aaron to watch some of them. I don't know about all of them, but some. I think the last scene of Andor walking is like, we're gonna watch this before Rogue One. Every time. I was like, did you finish the credits? Did you hear the Star Wars theme play out in the end credits?
No, where was I when I finished watching this? I was still at work the next day. I was like, I still have 15 minutes.
Yeah, you've got to watch the end credits. Just listen to the end credits is what I'll say. That was great. But it did the thing where it's like Rogue One, watch it, and I was like, I kind of want to.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was like midnight, so I couldn't. But I was like, I really would love to. Because what a great the fact that we talked. Ahsoka had that bitter taste in her mouths of like it didn't end any like nothing was resolved in that.
Yeah.
And then act like kind of was like, well, that ended where still not resolved. It ended where it should have started, was my feeling. And it was just great to that they nailed the finale. Like they just I think that they totally nailed it. They like starting with Lonnie and being like, Lonnie's the one that figures out the Death Star and tells the like brilliant, like just all that just started going brilliant. And Luthen, what they did with him, Clea, and then the usage of K2SO and Melshi just being there, just the guy, just the guy. Like you're like, yeah, that makes sense though because of how he and cutting it, pausing, pow, 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 pow. I was like, yes, pow showing up. I just thought I thought they did a great job with this episode, with the season. But I think this season, if they didn't end it properly, I think we'd feel different about this ending. I think even look, we all know where it's going, but you can still botch it. You can still botch that up. It's like takes place 5 minutes, and he's like, we're gonna wait here for 5 minutes, K2. And but I love the way that Draven was like, your friend, the guy Tivik, and it's like that's it's like they were building it up as the episode went on. They kept bringing him up. They brought him like twice, 2 or 3 times. I was like, this is awesome because we're not going to get that because we get in the movie, but this is where we're going, and I loved it. And Patrick Ewings they might be my favorite ship. I love Patrick Ewings, man. They're so cool. I love those ships.
Yeah, fantastic. Actually, I have not checked on the Rotten Tomatoes score of this because I remember when the first 3 episodes came out, it was like 99%. So I'm curious where it is.
Last week's has episode 8 is 9.8, tied with the season finale of Mandalorian season 2 for the highest, and then the episode 9 is a 9.7. I don't know what these episodes are though.
Yeah, when I just choose just Andor season 2, it's 97%, and then 87 for critics.
Critics suck.
I mean, it's hard.
It would have been better if there were lightsabers.
It would be better if it didn't have to rely on 10 other movies, which it doesn't. But you know what I mean? Like it's just like any critic's going to be like, well, this is relying on that movie you have to watch and all that jazz.
I wonder if you showed this to someone who's never seen Star Wars, starting from season 1, episode 1, I wonder how they would understand it and accept it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder, because I feel like they do a lot to clue you into what's going on.
Yeah.
But also, it's the Star Wars universe. It's already a pre-established universe.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Like how good is this show without? It's like we might be unaware of how much it's relying on what's going to happen next. It's like if you don't know that Rogue One exists, outside of like it ending. It's like, hey, why don't you watch Rogue One and there's Andor again? You're like, what is it? Like that is the fun of being like a new viewer to something where you're like,
yeah,
oh, more stuff. It's like we're not done. Like yeah, if you watch it, just like, what is this? It's like, why did it just end? Where is he walking? And then you're like, what is this show? But I think it would be pretty, if you can get engaged by the first episode, then the rest of this just falls into place. The story that existed in season 2 is amplified by Rogue One, but I think the story itself, even though it has those huge time jumps, it's like it still works.
I still feel like the 7, 8, and 9 kind of ended the Andor story, and this, well, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 end it, and then 11 and 12 are prequel to Rogue One. Like that's when it really started. Even like half of 10 felt like, okay, we're like it really felt Rogue One territory. As when obviously you hear Galen Erso and all that stuff, you're like, okay, we're Rogue One. And then it really got in, like I said, the last episode when they're like Tivik, like, oh, this is just Rogue One now. We're Jedda's name dropped, like we're just pure prequel now. But it was really good. Like it was really well done. So 7, 8, and 9 just felt like this is like it all kind of Cyril, all that stuff kind of came to an end. Like hunting for Andor was over at that point, right? So that kind of worked, and I really enjoyed that. And they nailed it. And that's something else. Oh, Bail Organa made the. What did you think of Bail and Andor's relationship and the use of "May the Force be with you"?
I think it works. I mean, Bail knew Jedi, so it's just like, and he respected Jedi, so like he used the thing that they would say to each other as like a sign of respect. I don't know what to think of Andor and Bail's relationship. That was the other question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sort of like you don't really see them together per se. I feel like the Bail character is much more aware of what's going on than we know, right? That's why he's so good at being like, he's like, Bail's kind of like Luthen, where he's like, I know what's going on. And we are just going to let it play out. They're like Yoda in a sense, where it's like, I know what's going to happen, and I know I have to let it happen. It's just sort of like, they're like the narrators. They know what's about to happen. So I don't know how to like describe what he feels towards Andor outside of Bail's like, I see you and I know what you represent. So
yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm always up for more Bail, even if it's not Jimmy Smith. I'm up for Bail. Although that's the only thing, the continuity of that going from this to Rogue One, you'd be like, it's a different actor.
Yeah, that might be confusing.
Oh, he wears very similar clothes to Rogue One, though.
Yeah.
Like this one, like it takes place 5 minutes before Rogue One. Nobody changes. Like once one BBY hits, nobody changes their clothes. That's it. They're like, this is what I'm in. The end.
We wear cool jackets here in Yavin.
I do want to see whether it's Jimmy Smits or Brad now. By the way, I do think after the season ends, because remember when they're like, well, we couldn't figure out the schedules and money. Remember, money was kind of brought up, but then it was kind of pushed away. I feel like it was a small role. Smits wanted more money than they were willing, and they just were like, let's just call what it is. I think
he heard what Jeremy Renner did with Hawkeye, and he's like, yeah, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, that's probably similar. It wasn't a massive role. I thought there might be more for him to do. He was in it as everything else, just enough. But
yeah,
it is what it is. Does he? Andor is honestly the least interesting character in the show. I'm way more interested in Luthen, Ramoth, Deidre, and Cyril. Yeah, but he's the thread, right? He's the one.
Yeah.
I will say, and for me, the whole Andor kind of came to a head when he rescued Mon Mothma, and that's kind of what got Bail to shut up. Right, that moment is what I feel like everything was kind of leading to that kind of moment. Obviously, at least the Rogue One, but that felt like that was his big moment. That was the moment that the rebellion is like, this is our guy, and we're going to trust him till the end, and whatever he says goes, and that's why he's allowed to steal as many Patrick Ewings as he wants.
Yeah, I'm loving the chat where like this there's all this head canon going on now, and like they're figuring out, and they're like, and this is a metaphor for this. It's like this is Star Wars. This is what Star Wars is, where you're just like you just take it in. You're like, ooh yeah, and then this could happen, and this could happen. It's anyways, but yeah,
we've been going on for a long time. Do you want to do odds today? Or do you want to say
let's just go to top 5? Like really, like what is else there to talk about?
The odds were kind of. I didn't like the odds today, really.
Oh,
okay, never tell me the odds. Will somebody else get a spin-off show? One of the surviving characters get
I would love to see a Mon Mothma like show, maybe after like where she's at after Red Jedi. Like
yeah,
like I don't know. Yeah,
I agree. Disney does get 99. I'll say the one thing that always pissed me off with Disney Star Wars was Disney Star Wars. Like 10 years ago, though, when Aftermath came out, was how they're like, Mon Mothma was in a coma.
Yeah.
Like every book, she was in a hospital. I'm like, God, how do they not know what to do with her? And that really started to piss me off. So I'm glad, like now she's like the most important character in Star Wars. So I'm glad they've got that right. All right, top 5 moments from the show. I haven't put any thought into this right now, so I don't know. Heidi wants the old lady in the hospital to get her spin up. And we got one quick. Do you think a Lutheran Rail was secretly Palpatine of Rebel Alliance, but nobody knew he played both Rebels and Empire?
I mean, I almost kind of said that 5 minutes ago, where you're like, oh, you're the chess player that's in the background. That's like, It's like I don't like. I saw a picture on Instagram where it's like him in his pretend like socialite character, and then him as Luthen. It's just like all he's doing is smiling, and it's just like everybody's Lois Lane. It's like he has glasses. That can't be Superman.
Speaking of which, you got to watch that new trailer.
I
James Gunn is in it.
Oh, of course he is.
Did you know he's not?
James Gunn.
Like Superman, I wrote this and directed it. What do you think?
Hey, you put Stan Lee in all those Marvel movies. Why can't I be in it? It's like, you're not Stan Lee.
He's just as important as Stan Lee, arguably.
Yeah.
All right, top 5 moments from the last 3 episodes of it. I haven't put any thought into this. Do you have any of them?
Oh, no. I mean, I know what I'm going to say first, but like...
Okay, you go first then, this time.
All right. My number 5 is going to be Luthen, and I guess Clea's origin story. I thought it was really good. It doesn't dwell too long on it, but it points out like why these characters are the way they are, and it's just sort of like it doesn't have to be super super deep. It could just be straight up. We don't want to live under this. We don't want to be told what to do. This does not stand. So that my number 5 is their origin story.
That's a good one. Mine are terrible. But my number 5 is B2 Emo.
Yeah.
He's alive and well. I'll do number 4. My number 4 is K2SO. Do you know how many rules we've broken? Or what?
Yeah.
The 17 to 18.
My number 4 is going to be similar. It just, anything with K2, but I'm going to lump on B2 Emo being at the end. You're like, it's just like droids. Droids just make this. It's like they just make these shows, and you're like, yeah. But everything that Alan Tudyk says in this series, I'm just like, so good.
So, like the card game, I'm like, this is great. But last week somebody I think said in the chat, or we said it. Somebody said it. Where it's like, I want we don't know what really happened to B2 Emo, and I think one of us said, I think they say take care of them for us when they leave. But now you see it. They're not just like, no, we mentioned it. They're like, they take you there and they let you see B2 Emo having a good time. And I'm like, that's just caring about the story you're doing.
Yeah.
And putting it all in. My number 3 is the K2SO hallway scene. Not quite up there with Vader, but a pretty good hallway scene nonetheless. I love the way, I don't know that Imperial's name, the one that was with Deidre, kind of like one up Deidre all year, but the way he just held him as a shield. was like,
yeah.
awesome. When he flicked the one guy off, he's like, "Get out of here!" I thought it was a good time.
My number 3 is going to be the hospital scene where Clea is just like knows how to get through things. It's just like, yeah, you want a character that is almost kind of unstoppable, but like for it to be a tiny little woman is always like, oh, that's cool. Like it's like that character is always interesting, but it's like instead of it just being like a Bruce Willis or Sylvester Stallone kind of man character, it's like this woman that just easily blends into the background. Yeah.
What about 2?
Yeah.
Clea killing Luthen. That whole moment leading up to it was just, that was just great.
Yeah, it's good. It's just like it's silent because like all she has to do is unplug, turn the thing off.
Yeah,
that's it.
But she did it.
In reality, why didn't she just cut the power to the entire hospital? Not even enter the building, just blow up whatever power.
Yeah, I know.
I love that the hospital's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, we could make this your problem. Like, fine.
Yeah, it was really, it was well done.
Yeah. My number 2 is going to be the Yavin Council, where
nice.
Cassian has to explain. It's like, no, like he is not the enemy. He did many things that, yes, you can't understand, and I didn't agree with everything he said, but like I believed in him, and he believes in this, so you shouldn't just write him off as some kind of kook.
I like that you say that the rebellion doesn't trust themselves, like within their own core. Like the rebellion isn't the empire. Like there's no structure. They don't really know what's going. There's structure, but they don't know who to trust. They don't really know because they are rebels, right? And they're living in fear probably every day of getting caught by the empire. Because that would be bad news bears for them.
Yeah.
My number 1, Lonnie. I texted you. That was the moment I texted you. I'm like, this is great. I just thought it was a brilliant way to start it, a brilliant way to get us to Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like this insider all along is the one that brought it, and then you knew he was gonna die. Like you just knew where it was going, and it's like, oh man, brutal. But that's what the show was, right? It was brutal. So maybe Reham shouldn't watch it. So
another death happens off screen. Like it's another one, a death that happens. And you're just like, oh, whoa. It's like, what? Like it's shocking. Like this series, this season is shocking. That's what it is. In a good way. In a way, wow, I can't believe someone made this. In a good way. My number 1 is going to be the slow walk scene at the very end where you're just like, here we go. We're walking to Rogue One. You want more answers? Too bad. You got what you got. We're going to Rogue One. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because it's like Rogue One almost doesn't matter because we know. I mean, I guess it matters because they have to get the Death Star plans to Leia. But like, inevitably, it's just the fact that there's a Jedi and an X-wing that they succeed. So it's just like all the things you lead up to this are inconsequential outside of those Death Star plans getting to Leia, and inevitably, so that 2 droids land on Tatooine, and an entire story begins. Like, it's all luck, and it kind of like it's echoed in the Andor series where it's like, this is just luck that we survived.
Yeah,
where any of this is working.
Yeah, it's brought up several times.
Yeah,
several times. Hard. Those are our top 5. Thanks, you guys, for showing your top 5s in the comments. And if you have some, let us know in the comments down below. This is the 368th episode of the Rebel Scum podcast.
Wow.
One question here. We got Brandon Tran. What do you think of other Star Wars characters like Admiral Trench of Separatists, Wat Tambor of Techno Union, and Grand Admiral Thrawn would sound with Andor's writing? You know, I don't even want to answer that. Pretty sick. I think I just said like earlier, I don't know if you heard, but Krennic, Krennic was good in Rogue One, but they elevated him here in a minor, like in a very minor role. Like I thought Ben Mendelsohn was like as good as he was when he won his Emmy. Like it was just like came in and crushed it, and it's because the writing's so good. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, Yeah, I mean, I think that is what was missing from Ahsoka, where we're like, oh, here we go, live action Thrawn, and they're just like, don't worry about it. I got a zombie army. And you're like, okay.
I have RSP friends everywhere. All right. Anything else you want to say, Brock?
No, thank you all for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. We went pretty late, but this was. It's just. I hope that the success of this show wakes people up to like we could try something new with Star Wars and still exist in what we've already created.
Yeah, we'll talk about this another time because it's new, but it's familiar. Like it's like they just like it's still Star Wars, you know. Like I know lightsabers, whatever, but and at some point a lightsaber could have shown up, and I don't think it would have thrown you off.
No,
royal you. Yeah, like I just don't. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a great time. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, all the other buttons. There's a lot of buttons. And they're created by Brock because Brock and Emperor Palpatine were always scum.
Rebel scum.
Scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.